Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. It is December 11th, 2011, 12/11/11. I'm sure somewhere somebody's either having a conniption fit because of the date or there's some sick prick doing something like satanic. You know how they are. Anyway, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I may sound a little different today because I am not on my regular studio microphone. I am on a remote setup right now in my new office, in my new Federal Jack studio, but unfortunately I was just finished moving all the big stuff about 20 minutes ago before I got online here to do the show, so I was not able to get the entire studio set up, so if I sound a little different, that's the reason why. Now, I wanted to make sure I was able to do this live show today and not have a pre-recorded broadcast or have anybody stand in for me, which, by the way, I want to give Joe Joseph and Ken Hildebrand a big thank you. You guys are awesome. You can always count on a bunch of veterans. They stood in for me Friday. Great show. You guys did a great job. I want to thank both of you. Last minute notice. They stood in. Semper Fi, gentlemen. Anyway, I want to make sure I did a live broadcast today because I had scheduled a guest to come on today that I want to introduce to the listeners. Many of you, especially the ones that hang out in the chat room, know who he is. But for the people that just listen to the stream or hear it on a rebroad or on the archive, I wanted to introduce you to him. He's an up-and-coming, I don't want to say truther because I hate that label, but let's see, truth seeker slash independent journalism slash webmaster. So I wanted to bring him on, get his take on a few things, but I also wanted to give him a chance to tell the audience a little bit about himself and get into, what drives him. So without wasting any more time, I'd like to introduce everybody to Josh from Anti-Tyranny News. Josh, say hello.
Hello. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. And I want to thank you for coming on today. And, you know, I hit you up about a week ago and asked you if you wanted to come on. And I want to thank you for taking the time to come on the show and chill out. Give the audience a little bit of information about Anti-Tyranny News, what the website is, and what you do specifically.
Well, Anti-Tyranny News is pretty much just another alternative news site trying to get information out that mainstream won't cover. Some of the information that mainstream likes to hide under all their other BS that they put out there. But yeah, we're just up and coming, trying to get a good start on the web.
And what drove you to, I guess, what woke you up to what was going on around you, and what drove you to do something about it?
Well, it really started when I was 14 because I got into living history and Civil War, World War II reenacting. And I met a lot of truth seekers out there doing that, and I learned a lot of information, had a lot of historical information come through my hands, actual documents. And then around probably 2000, I'd say 6, I really started waking up to the whole political system. And, you know, when Ron Paul started running, and seeing the media just bury him under everything. And it really made me want to actually do something about it, actually get out there and talk to people and wake people up to what's going on in the world.
And you guys, you're like a news aggregator as well as you write your own stories, correct?
Yes. I write a few stories. I'm kind of just getting into that.
Yeah, I can honestly tell you, being a webmaster myself, it takes up a lot of your time, man. It's not the easiest thing to do.
It's not. It's pretty much 12-hour days every day.
And that's all volunteer time because you're not getting paid for it, you know?
Yeah, and it's all out of pocket, too. I've taken pretty much my life savings and put it into my website, and people don't really realize what it takes to get one up and running.
It takes a lot to get a site up and running, and people don't understand the amount of time or dedication you have to do it. Honestly, you know, everybody says, oh, well, you know, Jones has a crew, blah, 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 blah. Well, yeah, because you need a crew to do the kind of stuff he does. You know, I want to get beyond the level I'm at, and I can't because I need a crew. I cannot, you know, do any more than I do by myself. So I understand on a certain level why he has to sell DVDs and stuff, because if he didn't have that income, he wouldn't be able to pay his employees. And believe me, I wish I had enough sort of income that I could offer somebody some sort of, even if it was minuscule, some sort of pay to help me out, because that might be more of an incentive, because it's really hard to find somebody that is willing or has the time to commit to this, you know, on a volunteer basis. You know yourself, it really takes a lot of time and energy.
It gets crazy sometimes and stressful. You get really stressed out doing it because you read everything that goes on the web. You watch all the videos that you see a lot of people post. And sometimes it can get depressing at times when you're seeing everything just unfold.
Oh, yeah. It definitely affects your I don't want to say your mental capacity, but it affects well, it's not even subconsciously. It affects you consciously because you see it, you feel it. It's like it weighs heavy on your heart. You know, Bill Cooper once said, he used to say this a couple times, but I saw him, the one time I remember him specifically, he was doing this, I think it was in California, he was doing a presentation. And he was sitting there and he said, do you understand how hard it is and the kind of burden it is to have the kind of knowledge that I have and to try to pass that knowledge on to you people? It's a burden. It's so hard because the general public just doesn't want to listen to you or believe you, you know? So I understand, you know, that I know exactly what you mean.
Right.
It's frustrating, you know? And then a lot of times you do all this work and then you get some, you know, it could be disheartening to some people when they get a lot of trolls or anything. Me, I look at it the exact opposite way. Okay, I know I'm doing something right because I'm being blocked by the Sheraton hotels to the point that I didn't have to write an article about it. Activist Post wrote an article about it because one of the people that go to my site apparently couldn't get on my site, InfoWars or Activist Post from the Sheraton hotels. And I know other people they can't get on my site from other hotels. They can go on all these other sites, but they can't get the Federal Jack. So I know I'm being blocked. Do I get mad at it? It's a little annoying, but I understand, obviously, I'm doing something right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're going to break. We'll be right back. Josh from Anti-Tyranny News is hanging out for the next 2 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Today is Sunday, December 11th, 2011. I'm your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com, and I'm hanging out with Josh from Anti-Tyranny News. And I got to say, I'm pleased that I've gotten the chance to have him on my show because Josh and I talk a lot, in the chat room and through Twitter or Facebook or all the social media stuff. But I really never get a chance to speak to him, kind of like one-on-one and get his take on things. So, Josh, again, thank you for coming on the show today. It's awesome.
Thank you for having me.
What do you think? What's your take on the whole buildup of this police state thing? The whole, hey, this is the new bill. We're going to come and black bag you and your family. And yeah, FEMA camps are real and they're being turned on and they can be activated and run within 72 hours. My take is that they're doing it it's a panic thing because they're scared. They don't know what, their back is against the wall. They're frightened. And they're lashing out like this in order to try to keep us at bay, and they're using fear as a weapon. And that's my take on it. What say you?
Well, I think they're seeing everybody waking up to what's going on out there right now. And if you look at Ron Paul's polls, his poll numbers are just going up and up and up. And I think they're really getting scared. And honestly, I think the coming of America's collapse is pretty soon if we don't do something about it. And it gets scary, and I think people just need to hold their heads up and, be vigilant against all of it.
Yeah, I agree that people need to be vigilant. People need not to be you should be paying attention, but at the same token, I also don't want you to be, buying into the fear propaganda, the fear porn, and emanate that frequency of fear from yourself. Yes, there's a danger out there, but you know what? Honestly, they don't have enough people to do what they want to do. Can you imagine if they tried rounding up all of the American citizens? It would not happen.
It couldn't happen. There's too many guns in the U.S.
You'd
for
need
something like
a
that
foreign army, literally, to come in here.
And a lot of times I wonder if that's why they keep so much of our troops overseas. Our American troops would not go rounding up American citizens. That's not
some would
that
probably
would
be stupid enough to, but the majority, I don't think so. And there's a huge awakening in the military. And I got to say that the men and women of the United States military, who I still have the utmost respect for, and they are professionals. I'm a vet myself. You call me tainted, whatever. But the military gets used, and not every idiot soldier, like the ones that always get splashed on TV doing stupid shit, represents the millions of people that have served this country because they believe that what they're doing is right, and that they at least they join to protect, they join to do the right thing. Sometimes they get caught up in the wrong place. They get used like pawns. Let's stop being mad all the time at the players, and let's hate the game. Let's hate the people that are setting the game up, the ringleaders.
Right.
But they don't. People get mad, and that's done on purpose because you have the news media. They focus people's attention elsewhere. It's like my business card and the T-shirts I have now, where you got Uncle Sam on the back, and he's got the puppets. He's got his hand up each puppet. One's a Democrat, and the other one's a Republican. And underneath it says, "I want you to fight amongst each other and be distracted and fight." I forget exactly what it says, but something along the lines of like, be distracted and fight amongst each other while I retain complete control. And that's what they do. They No, you're an idiot. No, you Republicans are idiots. No, you Democrats are idiots. Oh, you liberals are idiots. Oh, you libertarians are idiots. Oh, Ron Paul's a schmuck. Oh, this whole presidential race is a joke. I mean, Look what they're doing with Ron Paul. You ever notice they mention John Huntsman? Now, I'm not saying Huntsman's not a nice guy or whatever, but they mention John Huntsman, minus the fact that his daughters are uber hot. But the fact that they mention this guy over Ron Paul. Okay, listen to Hannity's show or Rush Limbaugh for one day. Okay, just tune into. I think it's 610 all around the country. I think I know down here it's 610 maybe. But it's one of those, I think it might even be that all around. Anyway, Hannity and Limbaugh, listen to them when they talk about the election. They mention the janitor, okay, but they won't mention Ron Paul. They figure if they don't talk about him, he doesn't exist, okay?
And yeah, that's disheartening. And what's good is a lot of people are starting to steer away from mainstream media or seeing through their manipulation of what's really going on, and that's something that should give everybody hope.
I agree. I mean, nothing's perfect, but the point of what I said this before, the point of Ron Paul that really serves to prove a point is if he gets in there and people vote for him, what happens if he gets 45% of the vote by himself? And then you see he's independent, runs independent. He gets 45% of the vote by himself. These Republicans and Democrats, between the two of them, obviously, either one, he gets more, he wins. Now, what would happen if they tried flip-flopping the vote with those machines? Well, they couldn't do it like they did with the other elections because it's already been stated that you needed, without a shadow of a doubt, to have the election numbers be very close in order to flip it.
Yeah, and
so if we can get this landslide victory, dude, you know what I'm saying? If they first of all, if they tried to flip it, it proves that it's rigged. And that would prove to all the rubes out there that don't want to believe anything that, hey, look, I mean, even a moron could figure out that they did something wrong. And it also it would probably, I mean, that would help probably push or have a push, for more fair and I don't want to say fair and balanced because it sounds like Fox News, but more open elections, get rid of the voting machines, go back to paper ballot. You know what I mean? What's the big deal with being in the 21st century and counting, reading off a piece of paper? Why is that? Oh, well, that's archaic. Why? Because it makes you use your brain. The computer doesn't do it for you.
I almost think that the GOP is going to try to commit political suicide because I really think they rather see Obama stay in office than let Ron Paul get into office. And a lot of people have brought this up to me, and it makes a lot of sense if they, shift him off to a third party by not nominating him. It would take pretty much half of their votes, if not more, away. And I could see them doing something like that, and we need to get rid of electronic voting machines. If they've been proven that they can be so easily manipulated, why are we still using them?
Yeah, and interesting that the guy that testified died in a plane crash.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, exactly. Go figure. That happens a lot.
Yeah, Gary Webb and all of them,
Yeah, he shot himself twice with a pump shotgun in the head.
Yeah,
after the first time, you could reload it. You can, I didn't blow enough of my head off. Let me put this back. Because I don't know if anybody realizes, but if you blow out a portion of your brain, you really don't have the dexterity or the motor functions to move your hands back and reload the shotgun for round two. So just goes to show you.
They couldn't get that one right by trying to say it was a semi-auto shotgun or something. They just came out and said it's a pump shotgun. Okay.
Yeah, like you think they would have been like, well, it was semi-auto, and maybe his finger when he, the first shot, somehow his finger maybe had a twitch or something and squeezed off a second round. I mean, you could maybe try to find a medical examiner that could have testified to that, but pump shotgun? Really? You guys aren't even trying.
You're right.
That's a good point, Josh. I think that's about the time that they stopped giving a shit about their alibis and they just started saying whatever and threw caution to the wind. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break. Stay tuned. We'll be back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. During a break, Josh and I were discussing internet censorship and just the blatant censorship of different websites. And he reminded me that he was one of the people that had told me that Federal Jack was being blocked. And I've had some people say to me, like two, but over the course of months that I've been saying this, I've had people say, "Oh, please, why would they want to block your site?" Blah 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 blah. Well, it's not that I'm making it up. I'm just repeating what different people tell me. This coming Wednesday, I got Carolyn Rose Goida coming back on, and when she's on, you'll hear her say too, she cannot access my website whatsoever. She cannot get onto it from where she's at. And Josh brought up a point that he had the same problem. Now, like, for how long was that going on? A week or two?
It was going on for probably a good 6 months, and it was every other day I could not access your site. There for a couple weeks I couldn't get onto it at all. And I've experienced the same with my website. I've had people say, did you take your site down? I'm like, no. They're saying, well, it can't access the server. And there's really nothing you could do about it, but hope it comes back on for them and hope they can come and check
I've
out.
had people tell me that they can't get to the site for days.
Yeah, it happens. It does happen. Luckily, it hasn't happened for your site for me personally for a while, so I've been thankful of that because I like seeing what you post, and I visit all the sites. Even the sites I don't like, I'll visit just to see what they're putting out there.
Who the hell is the government or anybody, any internet service provider to tell me what website I can go to? F you. I'll decide if I want to go to that website, or somebody wants to go to my website. Who the hell are you to tell them they can't go? I know one of the things that gets it blocked is the NATO war crimes page that I made. That thing got blocked. I got blocked all over Europe because of that thing. Because I got people emailing me telling me, I can't get to when they click the link for the war crime page that I made for NATO and Al Qaeda in Libya. It comes up that it's people have sent me screenshots from Europe where it's restricted. It says no, you're not allowed to go to this page. It has content that was deemed what did one thing say? Something like national security or something like that. But it wasn't national security because it was from over there, so it wasn't that term, but it was that version of it or whatever.
And when that whole Libya issue kind of developed, I know my one article I made, it got blocked for a few days, and a lot of other articles I seen got blocked. They just were trying to silence it, and then they finally had to come out and say, yeah, we got troops on the ground. Yeah, we have covert ops over there. And I think they were just trying to keep it hush until they could get everything through and get our military over there with NATO.
Well, we had created a page and it got hacked. We had to rebuild it, but it took them days to take the original one down, and then we rebuilt it. But it's called Obama's Libya.
Yeah.
And all we did was make it to host the videos that we were given by this independent, third party that was in Libya. And these were videos that they had gotten from people that either shot it themselves or they were there when it was shot and they saw the person shooting it and the person gave it to them to get out. Very, very gruesome stuff. And I know it pissed off a lot of people. We can't have that. Can't have the plebes looking at what's really going on, Josh. You can't let the people know what's really going on over in Libya in their name. So, it's got to go.
No, they might get mad. Might actually, run for office or something.
Well, when we've been attacked. I've said this on air before. We've been attacked by the IDF before. We've gotten hacked. We get screwed with by a lot of, not constantly, but certain times for certain things that we post. And it's to be expected when it's certain topics we talk about. So, and now the FBI admits that they're recording all internet broadcast media. So you can bet your Bippy that this is being recorded.
Well, hopefully they learn something.
Yeah, right. If you guys, if you guys pay attention, maybe you'll learn that the people you're working for aren't who you think they are. And just remember, history repeats itself. And after they're done with us, you think they're going to have any use for you people? No.
Right.
You think your families are safe? They're not. And they look at you like even less than they look at us. They look at us like cattle. They look at, military, government agents, police. They look at them like dogs because they're willing to do what they do to their own kind.
Right.
On their command. So they have even less respect. So maybe you guys should, listen to what Josh and I are throwing down here and just go check out some different news websites. Check out federaljack.com. Check out antityrannynews.com. Check out whatever else you want to check out. Bob Tuskin, Intel Hub. Go to all those websites. Go check them out. Go listen to all these different radio shows. Listen to all the other hosts here on Orion. Maybe you guys over at the FBI, Ken from the Information Nation, made this point in, I think it was on WTF the other night, that why don't we just have them donate, get a shirt? Hey, it's job security for you guys, right? Because you need that money. You need that if it's a private contractor, you need that contract, right? So invest $20, buy an Orion Talk Radio T-shirt.
It gets crazy out there. These people, I think a lot of them are waking up, and definitely a lot of vets are really starting to speak out about everything going on. And you gotta see the good things that are coming out of it, not just the bad.
I agree. There's a large mass awakening going on of troops and even some police officers. But unfortunately, some cops, they're still, everybody is the bad guy. You could be a possible terrorist. It's like, man, please check yourself. You need to be, we need to have a reality check. And people that are, oh my God, there's terrorists everywhere. The government has to protect us. The government's never going to protect you.
The government is the terrorist. They're the ones attacking.
Exactly, they're the bullies.
They're the ones attacking the civilians. And what defines a terrorist? It's the ones that go after civilians, the ones that don't care about life at all. Their goal is to attack a nation, not just a government or not just one person here and there. It's the people going after the whole civilization as a whole.
And they usually if you look up the term terrorism, it says that usually it's governments that do it to control their populations. It says it right in the definition of it in the dictionary.
Just look at the biggest terrorist on earth, in history, it's always been from the government.
Yeah, government controlled. Look at all these morons, Mr. Underpants Bomber, Mr. Shoe Bomber, all these other jackoffs. They're all controlled by the FBI. Yep. Somebody from the State Department gets, Abdul Muttalib, the guy he's got the IQ of a piece of toast. And this guy is supposed to be a mastermind bomber for Al-Qaeda? Right.
They can't even get their stories right half of the time. You hear about 5 different stories coming out of their mouths, and they all contradict each other. So
yeah, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing often.
Exactly.
And then they say contradictory things, He was here. No, he wasn't here. Well, he might have been there.
He had a blue shirt or white shirt.
Same thing with the Gabrielle Gifford shooting. There were 2 people for a whole day. There were 2 people. And the next day I was like, and I said, watch, it's going to be like John Doe number 2 with Oklahoma City. The second guy is going to disappear within the first 24 hours. And he did.
Yep.
And if you remember, the sheriff originally held a press conference on the first day and said, we're looking for a second shooter. And the next day that went away.
And they don't talk about it no more. They don't even.
Where's the video? Yeah. What about all the cameras in the parking lot or all the cell phone cameras or people who had video cameras? Where did all that footage go? The FBI admits that they have like 200 videos. Why not release it? I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying that, first of all, who knows? Maybe some of it was more hyped and faked. But where's the second guy that was there?
Well,
that doesn't count.
They can't give away their assets,
It's the same thing all the time. There's always more people. Go look at all these different things throughout history, assassinations. It's the same thing.
Right.
Go back to RFK. It's the same thing. People ran out after Sirhan quote-unquote shot Kennedy, and they said, we shot Kennedy, and I've played that clip before on my show. It's ridiculous, people. It's the same playbook. Time to wake up and see what they're doing. We're going to break. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
The real reason New York lost their tower.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Josh and I have these very fruitful conversations off air, and we pop back and forth about a bunch of different topics. And I gotta say, Josh, you the past couple, I'd say 15, 20 minutes, you've brought up a couple good points, and you're making me, reminding me of things that I already knew, but you know what I mean? It's, again, there's so much information in this that you know what I mean, dude. You find so many disturbing and sick things that it becomes normal for you to put things on the back burner.
Right.
And people freak out. They're like, aren't you freaked out about this? And I'm like, well, when you see all the retardedly sick, twisted things that I've seen, it just becomes like one more. I don't I already was used to death and stuff. I was a firefighter and I was in the military. I did recovery, towing and recovery work, like accidents and stuff, for years. I've seen dead bodies, smashed bodies. I've seen people turn to goo, decapitated bodies. I've seen my own friends, relatives dead that I knew. I had to carry their bodies out of houses and stuff. So I've seen some really gruesome things, but I got to tell you, the weight of this stuff on your head is just incredible. And I don't have children, so for the listeners that have kids, I give you guys a lot of credit, because I don't want to have kids because of the stuff that goes on. I would totally flip out if somebody tried taking my kids, dude.
I would lose it.
I would snap. I'm not going to lie. People have stuffed deer on the wall. I'd have a stuffed CPS worker on my wall. Because there would be no taking my children. I don't care who the hell you are. You're not taking my kids and taking them to some pedophile playhouse. No, my job as their parent would be to protect them, and I know how fiercely I would do that. And unfortunately, I know that they would end up, I would either end up being, killed or imprisoned, and then they would be put into the system anyway. So rather than breed children just for these sick bastards, I'd rather get rid of the sick bastards and make a brand new world, a freer society, I should say, that I could bring children into. That's one of the reasons I don't have kids, because I don't want to be put in that situation where I know how I'll react already. You know what I mean?
Right. And a lot more people should really be waking up, because they think, oh, that's someone else's kid, they must have done something wrong. But then it becomes their kid that this is happening to, and people really need to start waking up. And I come from that same attitude, because that's one thing you don't mess with, is family. Yeah, there's parts of my family, I don't talk to a lot, but I'll tell you what, if something was to go down with them, I would be right there and I would snap. That's just one thing you do not do, is mess with people's family. And I'm glad it is waking some people up to that fact.
Well, that's one of the things that's waking people up. Even the hardcore religious people are starting to realize, even that it's affecting everybody. It's like I say all the time, there's a key to wake people up. Well, when they start seeing, the raw food eaters, they got a big wake up when Rawsome Foods got raided, at gunpoint, and they were like, what's
Over
going
food.
on? It's raw milk. Why are you? No, you can't have it, or the Amish. There's a lot of people out there that were, you conspiracy theorists are all crazy, blah, 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 blah. And I'm talking like hardcore liberals, you see, everybody has this misconception that a lot of the hardcore liberals love Barack Obama. No, he took them as a support group, but he's a scumbag, and he's even screwed them over. His own supposed base, he's effed over. So many of them are mad at him for that. You got to strike while the iron's hot. And then on top of it, they see their raw food place or their milk people getting arrested, and they're like, what the hell is going on? That's when you give them a DVD and you say, New World Order, Agenda 21, Codex Alimentarius. This is what's going on.
Yeah, getting guns pulled on you for milk.
Yeah, the culling is what's going on.
Right.
As these elitist scumbags call it. We need to have our own version of the culling. It's time that we culled our herd of them.
Yeah,
You know, they think that they're the next step in evolution. And I got to tell you, no. The next step in evolution is understanding our humanity better so that we all realize that we're all one species, no matter of the differences that make us individuals. So we can have our individuality as well as being part of a human race so we can explore space and the oceans and everything else. That will come. But we have to fight for that. And I'm willing to fight for it. And that's why I do what I do, because I want to create a better future.
But, people don't realize, doing websites like this and spreading the word and doing DVDs and all that puts your life on the line, because you're going to be the first person they attack. They're not going to go after the little people that watch the DVD. They're going to go after the people releasing DVDs or information they don't want released, just like they did with WikiLeaks, even though, that's kind of a sketchy situation.
I already had the feds come to my door once.
Yeah,
so.
I remember that video.
It's very eye-opening. I mean, even knowing the stuff I know, when they came to my door, it was like, all right, now it's gotten personal. Now it's, and that, I got to tell you, it's not a comfortable feeling. It gives you this feeling in the pit of your stomach, because you worry not really about, I wasn't worried about myself, but I worry about my wife.
Right. And
that's who I worry about. And I'm not going to be intimidated away from doing what I do. If anybody, these guys do psychological profiles. They ought to know better that I don't play that game. If they've profiled me, they'd realize, that just pisses me off and makes me angrier. And it doesn't mean I'm going to go do anything violent or anything drastic. That's never been in my part of my forte or my modus operandi, I should say. What I do is I go out there and I want to give knowledge, because knowledge will help, empower people. And they don't want that, because that's what they fear. They don't fear the guy, one lone nut with a gun. Are you kidding me? They outnumber one lone guy. What they fear is an awake general public, even if they didn't have guns, because guess what? We outnumber them 100 to 1, and even if the only thing we had were sticks and rocks, guess who would win?
Right. And they really don't understand, people that are awake, when you show up on their doorstep and they're already awake, they already know that they're screwed either way. So they're going to go out there and put more information out. It's just going to bolster them to keep doing what they're doing, because it don't matter if you stop or you keep doing it. The end game is still the same.
Exactly. We know what their game is, and if they're angry, why do you think they want to take the internet down? They're pissed, because they look at us like, again, they're the next step in human evolution, and we're below them, and yet we took their invention, the internet, and we turned it on them. It was meant to actually track everybody, and we've turned it on its head. And they don't like that.
They hate it.
They're scared. What the hell's going on? Because they can't do that. They're not innovative enough. They're not smart enough. So that's why they have to go recruit these people into their organizations to work for them.
And they might think that they're, higher evolution than us, but who do they go to find for people to help them out?
Us.
Exactly. They don't have the knowledge to do any of that.
It's the biggest scam ever, dude. It's even bigger than the Federal Reserve scam. They have everybody thinking that they're above them, when in reality they're below us. They have no empathy, no humanity. They are below us. Look at Hillary Clinton. Hillary is a perfect example of having no soul.
That's one evil lady right there. I don't even think she should be called a lady, because
I personally think that if the whole reptile theory is correct, she is one of them. Without a doubt, dude. She is evil. Whatever she is, whether it be, alien, reptile, just plain evil, maybe she's possessed, whatever, she has evil in her blood.
You want to see the reptilian part of her, see the two-faced when she's sitting there telling everybody that Egypt needs to respect humans' rights and all that, and then Ray McGovern stands up in silent protest, turns his back to her, and he gets beat down for it. That's the reptilian right there. That's a chameleon in her.
Oh, yeah, she's two-faced. You guys shouldn't be beating your citizens down. Excuse me, Hillary, what exactly does the federal government have, and through DHS via local police departments, what are they teaching them? Aren't they teaching them the same thing? You guys talk about a free and open internet, and yet you want a kill switch. You talk out of both sides of your mouth. Indians used to say that. You speak with forked tongue.
It's unbelievable how someone could do that and be on camera.
Oh, she doesn't even care, man. She's got such a brass set of balls. She doesn't care. That's why I really think she's got a dick between her legs. And I'm not being mean because she's, people say she's a lesbian. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying she just wouldn't surprise me if she really had a dick, because she's got a huge set of balls that wouldn't fit the dump truck. She just goes right on TV and she's like, ha, we killed him. She's so friggin' evil. Ugh. All right, ladies and gentlemen. At the top of the hour break coming up. Get up and stretch your legs. Go to the bathroom, get something to drink. We'll be back in a few minutes with hour number 2. I'm hanging out with Josh from Anti-Tyranny News. Go check his website out, antityrannynews.com. We're going to break. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for hour number 2. This is Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm your host, Popeye from FederalJack.com. I'm hanging out with Josh from antityrannynews.com, and during the break, I was joined, or actually I said Josh and I both, we were joined by my good buddy and fellow radio show host and, partner in crime, because every time he's around I always get in trouble, Mr. Joe Joseph.
Yeah, I know. I kind of hijacked it more so.
Well, you came on with some really good info, and I was like, I told him he had to come on for at least a segment. I was like, now you have to come on.
No, that's cool, man. Yeah, I've got it.
You have some scary shit.
Man, I put it all together. I have put it all together based on some stuff that people know.
Well, give a teaser for your show coming up. 2 hours of what?
Oh, well, it all started with 1867, that Senate bill, and then it just kind of started cascading from there, when I started to do a little snooping into some things. I went to the federal, it's called the FBO, Federal Biz Ops is what it's called. And basically what that is a site that the government goes and solicits to the contractors saying, hey, I'm soliciting this out for bid. Here's a draft statement of work. Here you go. Well, I just happened to stumble upon the continuity of government solicitation that was out, that KBR one, that had to do with the FEMA camps. But the FEMA camps is the least of our concerns, because they acknowledged a lot of things in that document, and anybody can go and download this, by the way, that just absolutely boggles my mind that they put this out on the street. Like, for decades, they've denied the existence of Mount Weather as being a deep underground military base. But in the document, they solicited funding for this contractor to maintain Mount Weather and certain facets of it. So it's like,
well, how can you maintain something that doesn't exist?
Exactly. So they're just blowing holes and all this. And honestly, I'll tell you what it is. When it all comes down to it, A, it's incompetency, but B, more so than anything else, they're scared. Let's just say they're defecating in their pants right now. The elitists, they are.
You can say it on today's show. Today is like free talk day, because I'm tired and I moved for the past 3 days. Go ahead, Joe. You could say it.
They are scared shitless.
Exactly.
And that's really what it all comes down to. So I have a whole slew of different documents to share with everybody. And then when the archive is posted on YouTube, I will put all that stuff in the description box for everybody to enjoy at their leisure. But the one thing, the thing that I want this show to focus on tonight is the fact that you should not fear this. They fear us, which is why all this stuff is coming out. And that's the big thing you need to understand. If they didn't have fear, if they didn't know that the people were waking up, if they didn't know that their plan is unraveling in front of their eyes, they wouldn't have to do this and strike fear in your heart with all this crap. And so when it all comes down to it, I'll tell you even how the heck they're going to try and implement all this stuff.
That's what I said earlier in the first hour, that they're scared, and that's why they're doing all this, because they're frightened. You can see it. They're backed into a corner. They're like a scared, frightened animal.
That's right.
They're watching all these people wake up, and they're just shaking in their boots right now.
Go here in the chat room says, "Oh, he said shitless. I'm telling." Uh-oh. Sorry, Jimmy. But anyway, yeah, so that's coming up at 7 p.m. Eastern, everybody, following Popeye's Down the Rabbit Hole. And by the way, Popeye, I really enjoyed hanging out with Ken on your show and hijacking the crap out of it. So that was...
I get to thank you live. I did say thank you on air, but I didn't get a chance to thank you live and in person. Thank you for hanging out Friday and covering for me, brother.
That was really cool. Me and Ken, we kicked it.
Dude, you have no idea like how hard in the past 3 days I have worked, especially because I only have one good operating leg. The other one kind of, well, it's bionic. When I put on my bionic stuff, it works a lot better, which I was using it all this weekend. It made it a lot easier to move stuff. But yeah, dude, I hate moving. I never ever want to move ever again, ever. One of my friends looks at me and he goes, "Dude, don't you wish we could just like beam stuff like they do in Star Trek?" And I was like, "Oh, a little handheld teleporter. You just like cue in the location in your new place where you want it. Like, this is going to be in the living room. You get the coordinates for it, and you're like, boop."
Dude, I wouldn't be in one place for more than 30 days if it was that easy.
Right? I don't like it. This sucks. Boop.
I know. But thank God, for the last 2 years, I haven't had to really move. But before that, I think I had moved, I think it was like 9 times in 8 years. It was awful.
Yeah, dude, that's about where I'm at.
It's awful.
I hate it. But I moved further north and further inland than where I lived. I no longer live a block from the ocean, which is nice. Like, when I walk outside, I live still in an apartment complex, but when I walk outside, it's all open space. Like, where I used to, for years, I've lived in the city. It's always been concrete jungle. I look around and I'm like, the sky. And then one of my friends goes, "Yeah, now you'll see more chemtrails." That's just... And I'm like, they got to ruin everything, these pricks. Every little thing, Yeah. Now I have a bigger, open, expansive sky, and they're going to fill it with crap. Thank you, geoengineering dicks.
And they've been doing it a lot lately. I don't know if you've noticed it, but in North Carolina, Virginia, in and around this area, the the eastern seaboard, they've been doing it like crazy.
Josh, where are you located?
I'm in Indiana.
Are they spraying the hell out of Indiana too? Like, are they spraying it out there in the Midwest?
They spray the hell out of it, and they kind of got a little bit smarter. They do it early in the morning now, so if you don't wake up early enough, you won't see them spraying it. But if you wake up and you just see lines in the sky and it's just a haze.
I've got a tie to Indiana, man. I really do. And it was Gary was the place that I went and got my first fake ID. I was like, I was in I graduated boot camp, and I was in school, and they were like, "Yeah, man, let's just drive to Gary. I hear you can get a fake ID there." No, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest armpits in this entire universe, is Gary, Indiana. Good Lord God Almighty.
We might as well just give Gary to Illinois because they already call themselves East Chicago, so...
And I was already thinking like, oh man, ain't that where the Jacksons came from? Woo!
Hey, I want to give because I don't have access to the phone lines today because I'm doing this remotely, but Arizona Patriot in the chat room wanted to throw a point out there, so they threw it into the chat room, and apparently a host named Dave Hodges from the Common Sense Show, I guess that's the name of his show, said that Jay Rockefeller, Mr. Internet never should have existed, that douche.
Yes.
Yeah. Apparently he acted like he was scoring the winning Super Bowl touchdown when he went to vote yes on S-1867. What a piece of crap.
Well, that's another thing. Hey, let me bring this to light too, just so you know. Just so you know how we're making them scramble. Levin came out and said, well, it wasn't my idea to put this language in prison Americans. It was the Obama administration. They took it out. We had said that, no, you can't arrest Americans. But Obama administration, they went and they took that out and said, yes, you can. Yeah, so they're already backpedaling because of the pressure that they're feeling by everybody. And you got to keep piling it on, folks. They are scared they're
pooping themselves. They really are. They're filling their pants full of crap because they're realizing, oh my God, they're waking up. See, we are evolving, ladies and gentlemen, and they are scared of that evolution because we won't need them. We won't need their control because we will realize that it's below us. We're evolving beyond it, so we won't even need them to look after that. People will finally start to take, they'll take. I don't want to. What's the word I'm looking for, Joe? Take responsibility for themselves. That's it.
All I know is I want to take Carl Levin's glasses and shove them up his ass.
Oh, he's another turd. Ugh.
Can you get him any farther down his nose, dude?
We're going to break. Hang out. I'm gonna make you hang out for one more segment, then I'll let you go on the other side of the other segment. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hanging out with Josh from AntiTyrannyNews.com and Mr. Joe Joseph from the Freedom Link Radio Show. And Joe has brought some astonishing info, which we got a little sidetracked in the last segment, so I wanted to keep him on. Joe, when you say that they're using drones to patrol, and I know that the Border Patrol is doing that with UAVs, but you're not talking these little throw-in-the-air ones that you see on TV and all these morons pontificating about, they're neat. You're talking about Predator UAVs being used for in the country.
Okay, here.
Get into that.
L.A. Times. Armed with a search warrant, Nelson County Sheriff Kelly Janke went looking for 6 missing cows on the Brossart family farm in the early evening of June 23rd. 3 men brandishing rifles chased him off, he said. Janke knew the gunman could be anywhere on a 3,000-acre spread in eastern North Dakota. Because you know how it is, cows and cow rustlers are a threat to national security. But anyway, I digress. Fearful of an armed standoff, he called in reinforcements, like the State Highway Patrol, a regional SWAT team, a bomb squad, ambulances, and deputy sheriffs from 3 other counties. But that wasn't enough. He also called in a Predator B drone. Yes, the same drone, folks, that you saw in the Iranian footage. That same drone. Well, it comes to find out that the local police say they've used 2 unarmed Predators based at Grand Forks Air Force Base to fly at least 24 surveillance flights since June. The FBI and Drug Enforcement Administration have used Predators for other domestic investigations. They are coming to get you. So Bill Mackey, head of police SWAT team in Grand Forks, says, we do not use drones on every call out. If we have something in town like an apartment complex, we do not call them.
Oh, gee, how nice of you.
Exactly.
Oh, nice
thanks,
of you.
buddy.
Thank you. I mean, I guess we should be thankful that, they're not sending in the Terminator robots yet, but that's coming soon, ladies and gentlemen. And you think I'm joking. You should go look up a movie called Remote Control War. You'll find it somewhere, maybe on Netflix or whatever. Go watch that. It's a documentary, about 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes long.
Well, here's my problem. Is even though it's a drone, it's still piloted by a human being somewhere remotely.
Yeah, well, coming soon, that's going to come to an end. So,
and if that's the case, then does that not violate posse comitatus? Of course it does. It violates it because the government, you have active military joining forces with your local police, which in turn tells us that martial law is already in place. It's just been implemented slowly over time. But it's already here.
Well, if you take frogs and throw them into a boiling pot, they hop out. So they slowly turn the heat up and they boil us slowly. And nobody's the wiser because they're too busy watching football or
Family Guy.
Yeah, or Family Guy. Or one of the writers of Family Guy, I have it posted on federaljack.com. he got the crap kicked out of him and arrested at one of his Occupy events.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll pull his head out of his ass now a little bit. Maybe he'll see what the reality of things is. Maybe he won't make fun of stuff anymore. I doubt it, but
What's that? The creator of it?
no, one of the writers for it got arrested at one of the Occupy events. He got beat up. I posted the story he wrote about it.
Have you ever seen Seth MacFarlane? Have you ever seen him?
Mm-hmm.
He floats where he walks. He does. He is a freaking big time just puss.
Oh, dude. Well, see, the thing, he even admits that he's not really, a tough guy or anything like that. And that's the thing. And I'm not saying the humor in the show or anything isn't funny about certain things, but you have grown adult men who could tell you every Simpson episode or every Family Guy episode, but you ask them a question about the Constitution, which is the law of the land, and they just look at you with drool coming out of the corner of their mouth. Like, oh, it's okay that they use UAVs. I used one of those in my Call of Duty video game. It was pretty cool. Yeah, and what did you do with that UAV? Well, I dropped bombs on people. Oh, bingo, dickhead.
Apparently he got hit in the head with a bongo or something at the Occupy Wall Street protest. I just can't believe it, man. I mean, why in the hell are they using Predator drones in the United States? Well, it's quite simple. Because you let them. That's really what it all boils down to. If there's outrage and enough outrage.
This is highly illegal action.
Absolutely. And there should be people should be screaming from the rooftops right now.
Yes. People should be, these quote-unquote law enforcement people should themselves be getting rounded up and arrested for violations of the Constitution, violating posse comitatus.
Which in turn is what? It's treason.
Yes.
And what is treason punishable by?
Death.
And that's why you and I have both volunteered to go 12 on, 12 off to hang these mothers from the nearest
high,
tree.
Brother, hang them
That's
high.
right. That's right. I'll use them as a freaking windsock.
Yep. And you know what? You would have to. Some people are like, well, we have to be above that. No. Some of these real evil pricks have to be hung so that you can teach the rest of them that you need to shape up or that's going to happen to you.
That's right. And I'm going to get all biblical for a second, right? Because I love doing that and seeing in the chat. Oh my God, no, he went religious on me. Oh, I gotta go. No, actually, what it's all about is this. It comes down like this. The Bible was one of the bloodiest books in the history of mankind, and there is a time for righteous anger, and the time is now, and that means that if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. Sorry.
Yeah, the time isn't when you're standing in front of the pit and they have the gun to the back of your head.
Exactly.
A little too late. It's like Michael Badnarik says, what are you going to do when you're on your way into the gas chamber or by the firing squad? What are you going to do? Well, now I think this is a problem. Bang! You're dead.
That's
it's
right.
too late to protest.
One of the 10 Commandments is thou shalt not commit murder. Not thou shalt not kill. The real translation from the original Greek and Hebrew is thou shalt not commit murder. That's what it means. So it doesn't mean like, oh my God, all these Christians out there, they say, no, I can't do it. Oh, I'm a Christian. I couldn't kill anybody. Oh, yes, you can. And God gave you the green light for that.
I mean, like I said it in like I think it was the first or second segment. One of the reasons I don't have children is because I would do the same. I would, I would not be murder when I was,
righteous anger.
You're trying to take my child, and put them in some pedophile home or something, for no reason. You're gonna get. You try to hurt my kid, that's why I don't have them. I'm gonna F you up. End of story. There's millions of other people that feel that way, and they know this.
They do know this, but that's it, and that's why they use fear as their weapon. But that's all they have, and if you take that away from them, they have nothing.
Dude, they're like the schoolyard bully. What happens when you
it.
stand up and you walk up to the bully and you say, "I'm tired of taking your shit," and you knock his teeth out of his mouth, and then you sit there and you start kicking the living crap out of him? What happens? A, the bully either he gains respect for you, okay? Whether or not he tries to kiss your ass and be your friend, that sometimes happens. But either way, you'll gain his respect to the point where he ain't ever going to mess with you again. And B, everybody, all his idiot friends who usually are pussies and they just hang out with him so they don't get beaten up by him. They're all going to go, oh, you don't want to mess with that guy. You know, that's how you take care of a bully, and that's what's going on right now.
Well, all I can say is we have to use their weapons against them, and that is fear. You need to make them fear the people, fear us. And they do fear us. They just don't want you to know it, but they fear us a lot because they know if we wake up, they are badly outnumbered, and they do not have the forces to execute these quote-unquote plans that...
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Josh, what do you think about all this? Like the drones flying over our heads? You know, I understand the little drones are bad enough. What do you think about predators? I mean, is it getting to the point where you think they're going to start bombing inside the United States within the next 5 years? Or do you think this is all just them trying to, again, a last-ditch effort because they're scared of, this inevitable evolution that the human race is going through?
I wouldn't put it past them to actually try to use them. There's property over here and it's terrorists and, well, we just bombed them. And it's going to be American citizens if they do. I wouldn't put it past them, but it's still a far shot on that.
Yeah, I honestly, I think there's more. I mean, people do worry, oh, they're going to bomb us. They could. Don't get me wrong. There is the very distinct possibility. And then what happens one day when they give the computers the okay to do it themselves? So that's the probably one of the biggest problems. And again, that movie I was talking about earlier, Remote Control War, it shows their work on this stuff called swarm technology. You ever heard of that?
Yep.
Where they dump like 10,000 or 40,000, whatever it was, of these drone insects out. Yep.
And they've already come out with some reports saying that they're using nano electronics in some of the chemtrailing now, which I don't know if that's completely true, but why wouldn't they?
Yeah, right. I mean, they do. Sometimes I agree. Sometimes it's hard to verify the.
Yeah, you can't verify everything, but you got to look into it and what they've done in the past, what they're doing now. Certain things you just can't put past them, and you got to be aware of it, that this could be happening.
Oh, I agree, dude. I mean, look, you have to be open-minded and let the facts take you where they do. And people need to stop being, don't freak out. Again, I believe in HARP, and I know what it can do, and I know it exists. I know there's other, devices around the world. I know they've had the technology to seed clouds since the 50s, so God knows what else they can do. The point is, I don't think that every earthquake should be immediately blamed on HARP. Right. There are certain earthquakes that, without a doubt, were probably caused by HARP or a similar weapon, scalar technology. But not everyone. You know what I mean?
Right. And a lot of it's not just HARP. You got fracking going on. You got the oil drilling.
The fracking crap is another thing. Who knows what kind of, geological, type hell we're going to unleash on ourselves by, pumping all this water in to the earth. And then to make matters worse, you've seen those videos, right, where the people turn their faucet on and they can, light cigarettes because it's a flamethrower coming out of their faucet. That's disgusting.
Yep. And by pumping all that water into the ground, it's got to go somewhere. Your drinking water, even if you live in the city, where is that water coming from? If it's not coming from a nearby river, they're pulling it out of the ground. And if they're pumping water and all these oils and chemicals in it, and it gets into the groundwater, look at the treatment plants. The treatment plants only pull out a certain amount of chemicals out of the water, but you get left behind with all the medication that's in people's systems, is found in water.
Oh, yeah, all the, what do you call it, like antidepressants.
Yep.
A lot of that, though, doesn't come from them dumping it.
No,
like them wanting to dump lithium and stuff in the water and fluoride, yes. But the scary fact is that Pfizer and all them these big pharma companies have created such a dependence on this stuff here in the United States that there's so many people with this stuff in their system. When they urinate and they flush the toilet, it goes out into the, it gets, obviously the water is getting filtered, but there's obviously so much of this stuff that some of it is getting back into the water supply, which actually leads you to ask why the hell the filtering process isn't like reverse osmosis or something.
Well, some of them even came out and said they had no plans on ever trying to take those out of the water. They said it's there, you got to deal with it. And
well, that's a real good attitude.
yeah,
Who's paying them off?
Exactly.
Like I say all the time, they must be sucking Satan's cock. And I say it to be that blunt, to smack people in the face with reality. This is evil. That's not acceptable to be putting drugs in the water. You're being forcefully drugged. That's illegal. It's immoral. It violates your human rights. It violates your civil rights. And you should be pissed off about it. They could be killing your children. They could be killing you, you idiots. Get angry.
And people are always walking around, why is cancer rates up, diabetes, autism? But they don't ever want to look at what we're eating, what we're putting in our bodies, the drugs that they're feeding us. They just want to come up with another drug to try to fix it.
Exactly. Exactly. And by the way, when I said you idiots, I was referring to the people that are hardcore. No matter how much information you show them and stuff, they want to fight you every step of the way. It's not, and it's kind of an ad hominem attack, but it's not meant to.
But you know something, man? I remember being that person. I remember.
So do I. And you know what? You can transform from an idiot to an intellectual individual just by educating yourself, and that's all I'm asking for. But people they get their panties in a bunch, right, Joe? When you say something to them like that, you tell somebody they're ignorant, they get mad at you. You ever tell someone they're ignorant?
No, not me.
Dude, I do that. I do that to people, and they're like, I'm like, you're being friggin' ignorant, and they're like, excuse me, and I'm
what
like,
does that mean?
Yeah, dude, it's like I could have said your mother's a whore or something to them, and they probably would have handled that better.
Because they don't know the
people
context.
get fired up, dude. Yeah, exactly. They're so ignorant they don't even understand what the word ignorant means. That's pretty sad.
All I can tell you is that we have a serious problem when there are so many people out there that just refuse to understand and see the truth. And the whole reason is because they don't want to give up what they have. They don't want to give up the dream, the farce. And that's really what it all comes down to. The NFL, coming home, sitting in your comfy chair, doing what you want to do, it's all a farce. It's all fake. And it'll only go on for so long. And I mean, they'll like it when you're a slave. They like slaves. They like stuff like that. And if that's all they got to do is pump NFL through your boob tube, then they'll keep you around. But it's not. Your life is never going to be the way it is or the way it was before. The currency is never going to be worth what it was before. You're not going to be able to do what you could do before. I always ask. Like the people that I try to go, how in the heck, how did we ever make it out of the 20th century? I cannot figure it out. We needed cops to enforce seatbelt laws. How did my folks ever survive when there were no seatbelts in the cars? I can't for the life of me figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know how my dad survived. He was born, right around World War II. My mother was born right after World War II. My father was actually born during World War II. And I don't know. I don't know how they survived without any of these laws and stuff, 60 years ago.
Oh,
because, I mean, if they didn't have the government around to protect them, I'm surprised that they made it this far, Joe. How did we make it from inception? I mean, what were the founding fathers thinking?
And it shuts them up every time. And they say, well, we got a lot of people out there that are trying to kill us. And I bring up the statistic of you have a better chance of getting hit by lightning than being harmed as a result of a terrorist attack. So when there's a lightning storm, how do you feel then? What do you feel when there's a lightning storm? Do you go about your business? Ain't nothing you can do about it. So what? But you're more scared of a terrorist? Are you kidding me? And that's,
You're more likely to get killed by a police officer in the United States than you are a terrorist. Statistical fact.
Yeah.
And they always want to tell you how bad something is for you or someone is. And people never wake up to the fact, like the whole medical marijuana part,
Oh, God bless you.
You're more likely to die of peanuts than freaking medical marijuana.
Oh,
dude, why does it have to be medical? Why can't people just smoke grass if they want to smoke grass?
Yeah, I get irritated when people are like, when legalization people, they say, well, I'm not for social smoking, only for F you. Why can't anybody have it? Why do you have to go through some registration process to be able to have it if it's a miracle drug, right?
Exactly right.
People are stupid. They, again, speaking out of both sides of your mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be right back with the final segment. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. This is the final segment of Down the Rabbit Hole. And today I've been hanging out with Joe Joseph, and I got a chance to introduce all of you to Josh from anti-tyrannynews.com.
Who just so happened to just say he's going to come and hijack my show next. So that's even better.
Exactly.
So not only do I have to deal with John Connor hijacking my show, but now I've got Josh to come and take care of business too.
And we're grooming Josh to be as aggressive in a conversation as we are. That way he doesn't get drowned out. So
that's fine.
We're creating talk radio monsters.
He is a wee bit soft spoken to be hanging like that. You know what I'm saying? But that's cool because
you can just step on us whenever you want, brother.
Pretty soon he's going to tell you, "Go through, Popeye. I have something to say."
Exactly, dude. Don't be afraid. I respect people that like, hey, like if you start talking and step on us, we realize that's the signal to shut the f up and let you talk.
That's right. Shut the f up, you snatch.
Yeah, we don't bite. Don't worry.
I don't want to interrupt anybody when they're bringing up good points, so.
Well, I gotta say, dude, you bring up a lot of stuff again that, like, there's so much stuff out there. Like, you focus on one thing, you forget about all this other stuff, and you've been bringing up, point after point tonight. So that's why, Joe asked you to come on. And listeners, you got to listen to Joe's show because we're going to be hanging out and just getting into this in more detail. And Joe's got some really, really, he actually put it together. His information on this is actually quite good because he actually sat down and been working on this for days.
Yeah, and I actually put it all on my YouTube channel too. And believe it or not, in the last, 2 days, I got 100 subscribers just by putting this stuff up on the internet, but on YouTube. And for anybody,
people are yearning for it, Joe.
Well, they are. But if anybody doesn't understand, I just started my channel a month ago, this new one, because my old channel, Admiral Conservative, got a copyright strike and I couldn't upload whole shows. And that's when Jules from Orion Talk Radio, yes, I see you in the chat room, Jules. I know you're out there. But she goes, just start a new channel. And I'm like, all right, let's try that. And what you come to find out when you start a new channel is you get about 8% of your old subscribers to go over to the new one. So I got all of about 100 out of the 1,600 I had on the other one. And so it's been kind of like, it's in its infancy. But all I could tell you is tell you that you got to go and put the stuff out. And people will listen because they're thirsty for this information. But the one thing that I will tell you more than anything else is you have to approach it from a glass is half full type of stance and make sure that you let people know there's nothing to fear. Don't be afraid.
Exactly. Don't help propagate this fear crap. Help people understand the reality of things and then help them through their fear and to look past it and get through it and understand what's on the other side and not just go, oh, fear, and then cower down, Because there are some people that do that, and I agree. That is not the angle. Oh, my God, they're going to come get us. It's over. No. Yes, they have the capability to do that, but in reality, they would need, this many people. It's just way out of the idea is complete out of their mind. So what they do is they scare the crap out of you. Look through that fear, don't fear the bully. That's basically the message, the undertone of whatever message that you're, at least when I try to get across is, at the end of the day, don't be afraid of the bully. This is what the bully's about. Understand the bully so that the next time the bully gets in your face, you can, give the bully the middle finger with the
That's fair.
Constitution.
Punch him in the effing nose.
Well, that's what I said. Knock his teeth out. That's how I used to handle bullies when I was in high school. Actually, by the time I was in high school, by the time I was by the time I was a senior, I didn't have any problems. Nobody wanted to really mess with me because they had already seen me knock people's teeth out. I only had to break one person's nose my senior year, and that was because the guy kept messing with my little stepbrother at the time, and he wouldn't shut up and leave the kid alone. And I kept telling him, if you keep messing with him, I'm going to break your nose. And I told him days before because I knew what I wanted to do. And he beat my little stepbrother up, and I was like, okay. So I split his nose wide open, right in the middle of like 50 people, right in gym class. And everybody was like, I didn't see anything. See, that back in the day, people knew, don't snitches get stitches. Nowadays, they probably pointing fingers. He did it.
A lot of people didn't mess with me in school because I'd take on the teachers, and they're like, well, if he's going to take on them, I ain't messing with them.
Because the teachers got angry. Were you labeled the problem child?
Oh, I was probably the biggest problem child in that school. I even got an argument with a history teacher over something he was trying to teach, and yeah, he was a black man, and the Civil War was nothing about anything else but slavery. That's the only purpose of the Civil War was about slavery, and got in a big argument with it, and then they wanted to, put me on drugs, which I refused to take, and then, oh, well, we're just going to test him because we don't think he's up, because I never got good grades. I could not do schoolwork. I did not go home and do homework. That's just, I'm there all day at school. Why am I going to go home and continue on? If you can't get it in my head during school, then you're not going to get it there. But then they tested me, and then, oh, okay, he tested 2 grade levels above what he's in. Oh, well, just stick him in the retard class. That's fine. So
that's the same kind of crap they did with me, and then they wanted to do all this stuff. My mother said, why are you doing this? And then they said, oh, well, because we really don't know what to do, and but we realize he's not dumb, but he doesn't fit in with the rest of the other class because he has outbursts. Now, what they called outbursts was when the teacher would yell at me in front of the whole class because I came up with the same, like in algebra. For some reason, my brain just does algebra differently. So when we had to write out how we did it, I would write out a formula of how my brain did it, and she didn't like it because it wasn't how she said it was supposed to be, and she would try to publicly humiliate me in front of the class. So I would verbally get argumentative with her, and out of the class I would go, and I was labeled a troublemaker. So eventually I ended up dropping out my senior year because I really wasn't given an option. By that point, after I broke homeboy's nose, I kind of got I got into a few other altercations, and finally a few other things happened. At the time, my mother lost her job, so I had to go work nights. So what I did was they were trying to kick me out, so I got transferred to a school for kids that, they had like a metal detector on the front of the school. Kids that, bring knives to school get kicked out of schools in towns like Irvington, New Jersey, Elizabeth, Newark, Patterson, and all this. So I went to that school, and I actually I got in like 1 or 2 fights there. People realized that I was not one to be trifled with, and I got respect real fast. And actually, 8 of those guys came with me to take on a mob of about 50 people that were looking for my little brother one day. So my back in high school days were different when I was a kid, dude. You used to get in fights. There were real fist fights and stuff. You handled business. Nowadays, these kids are taught, you run to the teacher, and they don't do anything about the bully. They tell the parents or the teacher, tough, deal with it, too bad. And then the kid doesn't know what to do and ends up offing himself.
Exactly. They've taken any type of recourse out of the bullying for someone to be able to defend themselves. And they wonder why kids are killing themselves. Well, one, parents aren't really too involved in their kids' lives anymore. They're working 12-hour days, 10-hour days. Then they come home. There's a kid stuck doing schoolwork for 3-4 hours. And then they're off to bed after they eat. And they're taking the whole family, lifestyle completely
It's
apart.
destruction of the family. It's done on purpose.
It is.
You want to bring that? You want to bring it back? Parents, sit down with your kids. You want to start? Now, I don't have kids. This is just my personal opinion. You don't have to take it.
Well, sit down with your dogs.
Well, yeah, sit down with your kids and explain what's going on to your children. You teach your kid to fight back. My mother told me, you don't start the fight, but you better damn well finish it. And she said, doesn't mean you have to let him connect with the first swing either.
No.
She would say, go, let him, stand up to him. They take a swing, you block it, you do whatever you got to do, and you knock him out. And she said to me, don't worry about what the school official says or anything else. I'm your parent. You worry about what I say, and that is it. And my mother used to stand up and say, they would be like, I don't condone fighting. And my mother's famous line to this one principal was, well, I don't condone my son being used as a human punching bag, so I teach him to fight back. He's not a pussy. That's what she said to my vice principal. I got suspended for 2 weeks, but she didn't care because she was like, you know what? I don't care. You did the right thing. I had a kid that I walked into a homeroom. He grabbed me by my throat, put my head against the wall, and when he did, he cracked the back of my head open. So I remember the old phones that they used to have on the wall to call the principal? Sure. I picked it up off. It was right above my head. I reached for it, unhooked it, and I smashed his face in with it. So they got mad at me. Not at him. They got mad at me because I broke the phone over the kid's face. Well, you shouldn't attack me, okay? The long story short, my mother defended me, and even though I got suspended, I wasn't in trouble at home. You see how my parents differentiated it. The school didn't raise me. My mother raised me. My father had input in raising me. My uncle also had input in raising me. My family came together and raised me. Okay?
And
you know what I mean.
Now they're even stopping now it's not you get suspended. Now it don't matter if someone starts a fight with you. If you defend yourself, you go to jail. Now they're making criminals out of kids that are defending themselves.
Exactly. I agree. Guys, we're out of time. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned because the conversation is going to continue.
Like the Energizer Bunny yacht.
On Joe's show. So stay tuned for 2 more hours. Thank you for tuning into my show, ladies and gentlemen. I promise I'll be back full force Wednesday. My guest, Carolyn Rose Goida. Stay tuned.
Migrate over to my chat room.